Hello and welcome back. I'm Tech Sergeant Stephen Winn from WNN, and here is your Channel 50 News. We have a new command chief. Congratulations to Chief Shana Cullum on her selection. She comes to us from Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, where she was a first sergeant at the 932nd Force Support Squadron. Welcome, Chief Cullum. Westover Public Affairs has won 11 Air Force Reserve Command annual awards. This unprecedented sweep of a quarter of the awards placed our group above the 35 other units across the command. In March, our 11 first-place wins will go up to the Air Force level. A win there would propel them to compete at the DoD level. Way to go, PA, continuing the Westover way of leading with excellence. There were also a couple other annual award winners. The Aircraft Maintenance Squadron had 2 wins. The Major Francis Dixon won the Field Grade Manager of the Year, and Mr. James Miller won Civilian Technician of the Year. And that's not all. The Logistics Readiness Squadron also had 2 wins. Senior Master Sergeant Charles Carlin won Logistics Readiness Senior NCO of the Year, and the squadron itself won their 4th consecutive Dedalian Logistics Effectiveness Award. April is the month of the military child. If you would like to recognize your kids and get them some free bowling, please RSVP by March 30th. Your child's name and age to the Airmen and Family Readiness Center should be sent in an email or by phone. Sign up and have fun. There's going to be a fire extinguisher training held Tuesday, May 10th, across the street from the Wing Headquarters building. If you are interested in attending, please call the Fire Prevention Office at 557-3818. Don't drive drunk, get a ride. If there is even a possibility that you've had too many, don't drive. Let AADD, that's the Airmen Against Drunk Driving, pick you up. Please call 413-459-2464. And our volunteers from the Rising Six will come pick you up Friday or Saturday night of a UTA. You know that Sapper training that you enjoy? It is no more. Sapper has officially been replaced by Green Dot. That is the Green Dot training. This new initiative will focus on interpersonal violence, stalking, and sexual assault. Currently, base leadership is being trained, and you will all see this training in the coming months. Do you have a teenager in the house and are looking for something for them to do this summer? Applications are now being accepted for the Air Force Reserve Air National Guard 2016 Teen Leadership Summit. This week-long event in Dahlonega, Georgia is open to 14 to 18-year-old dependents. Leadership classes will be taught throughout the week, and teens will learn about the mission of the Air Force Reserve and the Air National Guard. Summits also include military traditions, community service projects, musical performances, and environmental education classes. Don't miss out. Sign up today. That's all I've got for you this month. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, I'm Tech Sergeant Stephen Winn with WNN. See you next month.
Incoming 439th Airlift Wing Commander Colonel J. Jensen told the assembled wing members after the troop commander gave the order for them to come to attention that he felt like he'd won the lottery. During a change of command on Sunday, March 6th, Colonel Jensen thanked Air Force Reserve brass for entrusting in him the leadership of proven champions. Colonel Jensen said to the troop mass, "Westover is an award-winning team, but we're in a business that does not allow us to rest on laurels." Colonel Jensen said he would communicate goals that will help all of Westover become successful, and that he looked forward to working with everyone in continuing Westover's legacy of greatness. Moments earlier, Major General John Flournoy, Jr. presented Colonel Jensen with the flag representing his ownership of the thousands of service members and civilians who make up the Patriot Wing. Major General Flournoy said to the multi-service mass of troops, "One team, no seam. We have a mission to serve here." Afterward, he thanked the long list of civic and community leaders in attendance, including a state senator and the host city mayor. Colonel Jensen acknowledged Brigadier General Al Lipinski's work in fostering an impressive network of community support during his tenure at Westover. Colonel Jensen said, "I'm so pleased to see so many civic leaders take the time on a weekend to come out here and to join us." Brigadier General Lipinski, during his brief remarks, reminded the Patriot Wing that everything excellent about the base, including the many awards won by its units and relationship we maintain with communities outside the gates, generate from the men and women who make up the Patriot Wing. General Lipinski said, "You're all a special breed and representatives of excellence. When you drive onto the installation, what it says on the marquee as you enter the base, Leaders in Excellence, it's true." Colonel Jensen said Westover and its 2015 Rain Cross Trophy accomplishment, among the many other awards, was indeed impressive. He said, "Some wings today are a step above the rest." And then Colonel Jensen pointed to three of his Air Force mentors, former wing commanders of the Patriot Wing. He referenced them in setting his course as the newest commander of an award-winning team. He said it was an honor to follow in the footsteps of former commanders Major General James Bankers, Major General Martin Masick, and Major General Wallace Ferris Jr., all of whom were instrumental in his growth as an Air Force leader. Colonel Jensen said, "I hope I can learn as much as my mentors learned from Westover." Reporting for WNN News, this is Captain Andre Bowser.
Hello, 439th Patriot Wing Airmen. You're gathering today for two important events, Commander's Call and Kickoff to Wingman Day. First, thank you for choosing to be a part of the world's greatest Air Force. And second, I ask that you help me help you. Take a moment and look around. You see all those airmen around you, your brothers and sisters in arms, standing tall with you in defense of our great nation. Together, we project power and might as no other nation can. As an Air Force, we're strong, but as individuals, sometimes life throws us challenges. I understand this. It's not always easy. Alone, we can struggle. But as you look around to those familiar faces of the Patriot Wing standing next to you, I ask that you commit to being a great wingman and to watch out for each other. Be that source of strength when someone you know is weary. Be the one to encourage those around you who need a helping hand. You'll be amazed at the difference a kind act or word can make. Our greatest asset isn't beans and bombs. It's each one of you. I know team spirit and camaraderie flow through the 439th Airlift Wing. Our customers are the warfighters who need that rolling stock at Al Udeid, or the support folks at home station who make that worldwide delivery possible. That strategic airlift mission is essential. Each aspect of your training is also essential. Take today's training to heart and learn how you can continue to be a trusted and valued wingman. If you do, we will all win in the end. And when we win, America wins. Speaking of winning, your famous Westover resourcefulness came shining through recently when you brought home the coveted Rain Cross Trophy from my headquarters in Southern California as the top wing in 4th Air Force. We both know this isn't the first major award the Patriot Wing earned, and it won't be the last. Each time I visit your wing, I see what the rest of the Air Force sees, a world-class organization made up of airmen and civilians who have the skill and desire to be the best. Your work ethic and New England values set the standard for us all. It's no accident that over the last few years, top-level visitors have wanted to come and see 4th Air Force's finest wing in action. The partial list of DVs wanting to see what makes the Patriot Wing tick includes the Secretary of the Air Force, Deborah Lee James, Chief of the Air Force Reserve, Lieutenant General James Jackson, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, and numerous senators, congressmen, and local dignitaries. I'm proud of the work you do here, and I'm proud of the impressions you give our senior Air Force leaders. Also, I'm extremely pleased to see your rock-solid community partnerships. Take care of each other. If you need help, ask for it. If someone asks you for help, I'm confident you'll provide it. I wish you all the best, and until we meet again, go forth and conquer.
In 7th grade, I called the recruiter. I wanted information about coming into the Air Force. He laughed at me, and 2 weeks later, I still didn't get my stuff, and I called him back, and he laughed at me some more, but he sent me the information. I've always known I wanted to come into the Air Force. My parents didn't think I was going to make it through basic training because I was a little bit of a rough child. But I came in and it's the only place I could imagine being. I came in active duty. I did 8 years active duty. 3 of that was as an admin troop. Then I became an active duty TI, and then I came into the reserve side and I took an art position. I was a TI as an IMA and then a TI as a TR. And after 13 years of being a TI, it was time to move on. And somebody introduced me into the diamond world, into the first shirt world. And I thought the TI was the best job ever until I became a shirt. And then I got to expand out and touch a lot more airmen, big A airmen. And I've just kept going from there. I've served overseas. I've served CONUS. I've served Scott at Travis, back to Scott. Now I'm here at Westover. You surround yourself with successful people, and that's what I've always done. I've always been blessed with great mentors, great supervisors, and you know, nobody gets an award by themselves. It takes a team, and that's just one of the accolades that my team gave me. I am excited. I am very excited. I have a lot of challenges ahead of me. I have had the opportunity to fill in for the command chief several times as a first sergeant, so I'm not going in completely blind by any stretch of the imagination. But I also know that I'm going into the unknown, hoping to reach out to the chief's group and to the first sergeant's group, and again surround myself with successful people that'll help me continue. And I hope I bring a lot to the table. It's never a one-way street. It taught me that everybody has a different background. Everybody brings something to the table. When I became a TI, I had the mindset that it's yell, yell, yell. Everybody thinks it's yell, yell, yell. It's not yell, yell, yell. I was pregnant with my first child, and I learned really quick that yell, yell, yell takes a lot of energy that I didn't have. So I had to get creative. And when I got creative, it brought the best out in my flights. And we pushed female flights, male flights. I pushed the very first integrated flight, had a husband-wife in my flight. It was a very interesting time. So you learn to adapt. You learn to appreciate what people bring to the table. And I've carried that with me all through my career. But I want to grow our airmen. And sometimes that means disciplining enough to make it sting, not to crucify or anything like that. And you learn those traits as a TI of how to get in and how to get out. And one person's mistake isn't always everybody's mistake. So again, that's something that I've taken all the way through my career and used all the way through my career. Specific to Westover, I don't know yet. The different groups are very strong groups. I do know that there's always room for improvement. I have a passion for growing our airmen. We have to replace ourselves. We have to be raising our airmen for tomorrow's Air Force. I've served over half of my life in the Air Force. I'm not going to get to spend all of my life in the Air Force, so I have to prepare what I'm passionate for now. I have to be training our replacements. So that's where my passion is, and that's, you know, specific goals of we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I don't have that yet because I don't believe in coming in and changing something that doesn't need to be changed. So as time goes on, maybe we can regroup in a year and I can give you specifics. But right now, my goal is to have fun and to raise our airmen for tomorrow, because we're not going to be here forever. Okay, so I met my husband when I bought my very first horse from him, and he's been stuck with me ever since. I knew nothing about horses before I met him, except for that I wanted one, and I went to look at this horse, and he showed me all the ins and outs, and literally we were married 3 months later, and horses have just been us. What do you learn from a horse? Oh, so much. Oh, so much. A horse is no different than training a person. They all have their own personalities. And the difference between a horse and training a person or mentoring a person is a horse can't talk. So you have to figure out what makes them click, and you have to figure out how to communicate their way, because they're not communicating our way. So it makes you creative. It makes you pay attention and pick up on the little things that you need. They're dangerous animals if they're put in the wrong situation. So you have to think. People are no different. You have to figure out how they communicate. You have to figure out what makes them click. And then once you figure that out, you can learn how to communicate together and work together as a team. And so I'm going to give all the accolades to my husband there, because he's taught me everything that I know, and that's given me the opportunity to cross it over into the Air Force side of the house too. Single most driving force is our airmen.
Really, engineers are artists at the root of things. It is more than just looking up the answer in a book or running the numbers through the computer and out pops the answer. And we're done. It isn't that easy. Once in a while, it occurs to me, people come here on their vacation time and pay money to take a tour of the place that I work at, which is kind of interesting, kind of unique. I don't know if there is anything more imaginative than space. I'm Blair Thompson. I'm an engineer here at the NASA Johnson Space Center, and I'm also an engineer and I teach space science in the Air Force. I passed the retirement threshold several years ago. I am passionate about space exploration. I might not show it as outwardly as some people do, but it's always on my mind, thinking about it, wondering if there's new ways to do things. I read all kinds of books and journal articles and constantly thinking about space exploration. I can get really deep into it. It's almost like I've put myself into the book, so to speak. It can take several seconds to kind of pull myself out of that and bring myself back to what's going on around me, because I can really get into it that much. I specifically love the orbital mechanics, the things moving around in space. So I created an algorithm that's being used to ensure that visiting spacecraft don't crash into the space station. That was a really cool project. I got to be creative and use my imagination to solve a problem to help out the astronauts. I like the extreme environment that space is, the fact that there's hardly any air and there's very little gravity and you're moving at 17,000 miles per hour. So I assembled this vacuum chamber so I could replicate the extreme low pressures in the upper atmosphere of Earth and Mars. Those equations really don't mean anything. So I have a bachelor's, 3 master's degrees, and a PhD in engineering. That's how much I found it interesting. You're right. We'd have to take the whole roof off, wouldn't we? So my wife, we actually met in graduate school in aerospace. You know, it's kind of funny. We do talk about space once in a while.
It's like you can pretend that you're laying in the rocket ready to launch.
But a lot of what we talk about is our kids now and what our kids are experiencing. And some of that definitely has to do with space exploration.
I want to go to space someday in the little rocket.
I have applied to be an astronaut several times, and I've gotten fairly far in the process, but it's a pretty big pool of some very highly educated, highly qualified people. Space exploration and space operations has just become a very crucial part of our military operations. Space is the ultimate high ground. That intel type piece of it is just so vital that we just couldn't operate as effectively without it. If it were to go away, things would be pretty dire. I'd like students to leave with a lot of questions. I know that's maybe counterintuitive, and an instructor is supposed to answer all the questions, right? But I would like students to leave thinking like, man, you know, space is a really incredible place. Its expanse is beyond imagination. I think that would be like the ultimate goal, if I can impart that feeling upon the students. Yeah, so I'm Blair Thompson. I work at the NASA Johnson Space Center, and I'm also in the Air Force Reserve.
Hi, I'm Tech Sergeant Richard Gonzalez with the Air Force Reserve Command's Yellow Ribbon program. We'd like to spend a few minutes showing you how Yellow Ribbon has impacted Air Force reservists. In 2008, Congress mandated that the Department of Defense help reservists like you and National Guard members as they transition from military duty back into their civilian role, whether that's a full-time job, full-time student, or stay-at-home parent. And each year since, at least 6,000 reservists and their family members have attended one of our Yellow Ribbon events. Here's a sneak peek at what to expect during one of these Yellow Ribbon weekends.
It is a different time these days. We've got wars on a number of fronts. We've got serious economic issues that everybody out there, reservists or not, is dealing with. Programs such as this go so far. They go a tremendous way to help our members and their families personally, professionally, and become a better person.
Yellow Ribbon provides us the educational opportunity to help educate our communities and, more importantly, help build the confidence in our spouses, the family members who are home left behind.
Being able to go through things, programs like this have been really good. As a mom, as a single mother for a while, to be able to understand and know how to get through it, to be resilient, to find that new normal for us while our spouses are away.
There's absolutely no better event to go to get you the information you need before you deploy, take care of you and your family members while you're gone, and then help you reintegrate back into your family structure when you return. I would hope that every single member of the Air Force Reserve would take advantage of this great program because we're very proud of it.
It has a serious impact on our members that deploy and have to come back home, and these programs such as Yellow Ribbon do a wonderful job of helping them reintegrate and assist them with what they need to do. We incorporate a variety of breakouts and seminars in each Yellow Ribbon program, such as marriage and family or financial management. Those type of breakouts do wonders for our members.
All of us were given those new additional skills and resources that we need to be able to finish out the deployment and then really make it even past that, to be able to meld as a family again and do what we need to do, be able to communicate and grow together again.
We get a variety of folks that attend our events. Those folks that are very willing and open, coming in the door to share their feelings and their emotions and ask those questions. We also get the other spectrum where the folks are afraid that maybe they could have a crack in their arm, or the possibility of releasing their emotions may not be the best thing for them. At the end of Sunday afternoon, when we're said and done, those folks have found a way to deal with any issues they may have and be a better person, be a better family when they leave here.
We're that citizen airman from small town Pickett City, USA. We're not on a base in large parts. We're not located near bases. Many instances we're out in the rural areas where the nearest city, the nearest neighbor is 15, 20 miles apart. And so Yellow Ribbon, it bridges that gap. It's a link between the military and that community.
All right, do you need a Band-Aid? No, you're gonna be tough?
Hannah really loved the fact that she got to meet a lot of kids, coming from a place where nobody else in her school has a deployed parent.
If they went to the Yellow Ribbon, then they would have a lot of fun because we played games.
It was really good for her to meet friends, to see people that were like her, that had the same interests as her.
Left foot yellow. And then you got a pillow, and you can use the pillow to send it to someone else, but first you have to kiss it.
This family is a great example of what the Yellow Ribbon program can do, but it's only one of 1,000. We target each event with such enthusiasm, with such energy. Most families that come there, they have no other choice but to reap benefits from it. There's nothing else to say about what the family can receive other than just goodness. I've never seen a family come there and walk away and say that they haven't benefited from it.
What a great story about family and the impact of Yellow Ribbon. Now, if you're single or not yet married, this program's for you as well. You just have to be tapped for a deployment or recently returned home from a deployment. So make sure you get with your Wings Yellow Ribbon rep to sign up and get on your way to an event. From everyone here at the Yellow Ribbon program, I'm Tech Sergeant Richard Gonzalez. Thanks for watching.
Hello teammates, I'm Major General Jay Flournoy.
And I'm Chief Wong, and we're here with our 2016 Wingman Day message.
Chief Wong and I wanted to take a moment and thank you for being our wingman.
Being a citizen airman requires balance between civilian and military life. It's not always easy.
Your Air Force Reserve family is available at any time, not just on UTAs. This year, we've lost too many teammates and we don't need to lose more.
We have resources available, such as the Wingman Toolkit, designed to provide resilience tools to maintain a balanced lifestyle. It's available in both an app for your phone and a website.
Within your units, there are chaplains, SARCs, and SAPR reps who can assist in connecting you with help when and where you need it, even outside the UTA. You have a chance to hear from these teammates during your Wingman Day.
We serve in the greatest Air Force in this world, and each one of our teammates matter.
So look at each airman sitting beside you and realize that we're all on the same team. No matter what patch you're wearing, what unit you're from, we're here to get this done together, and we can only do that by being good wingmen for each other. So until next time, every wingman counts.
Go forth and conquer.
An inaugural awards dinner put the spotlight on 5 Patriot Wing airmen, 2 civilians, and a new honorary commander January 9th at the Westover Club. In years past, senior leadership has included the Patriot Wing's annual awards program at the top of the New Year's Commander's Call agenda. Hundreds of airmen huddled in the base hangar for those events and watched as the wing honored its airmen. With the venerable hangar unavailable due to construction and renovations that began last fall, Wing Protocol teamed with the first sergeants to hold the dinner at the club. More than 135 people attended. In addition to the Wing level awards, senior leadership inducted the Wing's honorary commander, Richard Regie, who's the superintendent of schools for Chicopee. Regie is the Wing's 4th honorary commander. The honorary commander program encourages the exchange of ideas, experiences, and friendships between Westover leadership and key members of the local community. I'm extremely honored and humbled to accept the position of honorary commander of the 439th Airlift Wing, Regie said. This is a tremendous opportunity to give back to the many service members who willingly deal with the complexities of balancing their civilian lives with their military obligations in order to protect and defend our country every day.
I started my adventure in the Air Force Reserve as a payload system operator.
Flight medic in the Air Force Reserve.
I'm a pilot for the Air Force Thunderbirds demonstration team.
We do a lot in a little bit of time, and we have to do it very efficiently.
It's a very exciting career.
The Reserve gave me the opportunity to learn something totally different from what I did.
The training in the Air Force Reserve is second to none.
The most exciting thing in the Air Force Reserve is to be able to travel.
It gave me the opportunity to go to college. That was definitely a bonus.
And the Air Force Reserve gave me all those opportunities, and then even more.
Start your adventure in the Air Force Reserve.
I've been in the Air Force Reserve for almost 3 years. My brother before me, right before I came in, he was in the unit, and it seemed like a good opportunity, so I joined too.
When I enlisted, I was 17 years old. I was still in high school, so my parents had to sign my forms. And then 2 days after graduation, I left for basic training. I liked the benefits that came with joining, as well as I've always wanted to be in the Air Force.
Great training, you get to meet tons of new people.
Everything from the camaraderie to actually going to school for free. I go to a private school, 4-year school, and I don't have to pay anything out of pocket. In fact, I end up getting money to go to school. It really helps me a lot.
You get to travel, I get to go to places and see things that a lot of people never get to see.
I was able to do an extra Air Force job. I got to do the Honor Guard. I currently do that right now. I'm on my drill weekends. And there's so many benefits to the Reserve that I can't name them all.
Right now, I'm working at Home Depot in lumber department, but I'm looking for a firefighting job. All the certifications we get and training we have here puts you a lot higher on the list than someone who wouldn't have the military experience.
Today we're going to do a structural burn. We're going to work with live fire practice rotating teams in and out of the building and doing various exercises.
The biggest difference is the aircraft. So we deal a lot more with aircraft rather than structural fires, which is like house fires.
Each flight has something unique about it. So you might have a cargo plane come in with some hazardous materials that you need to be aware of before it lands, and sometimes you get new aircraft in that's not really here at the home station, so you need to learn about that.
Cars, there could be vehicle extrication, car accidents, anything like that, yeah.
Also, there's a lot more people. Every weekend kind of swells up and then diminishes during the week, so there's just a lot of challenges that you have to face.
My favorite part's probably the camaraderie. It's a tight-knit unit. Being a firefighter as well, it's even more tight because you're with these people all the time. It's like a brotherhood.
Every weekend's different. Every time I think I'm going to do something, I never end up doing that. It's always something new. There's challenges that you have to overcome, and I've learned things that I didn't think I could do that I actually can do, so it's a great experience.
Very good. Well, welcome to Westover, and Lieutenant Colonel James Bishop, Chief of Public Affairs. We're here to talk about drone rules, the new FAA rules that came out last month, and drone safety. And so I'll pass this over to Major Emily Kojal, who's a not a command pilot, but an instructor pilot, Chief of Safety at Westover. And the expert on strikes, mainly bird strikes, but today we're talking about drones. We've got a couple of examples in the back, and we'll be glad to take your questions afterwards. Major Kojal.
Hello, Major Kojal. I'm like Colonel Bishop said, I'm the 439th Airlift Wing Chief of Safety. I'm also a C5 instructor pilot here at Westover, and we are really trying to get media attention and publicize and get more awareness for the local public about the risks that drones, specifically drones like these, the small ones that people got for Christmas, basically. They estimated 600,000 to 700,000 drone sales this year. We're not talking about military drones, we're talking about quadcopters and things like that, and the risk that they pose to general aviation as well as military aviation on the airfield. We have not had any drone strikes here at Westover. This is mostly Westover specific here. The general aviation and military and commercial aviation community are very concerned about the drones and the damage they could cause. As far as the safety center or the safety office here on the base, we do track a lot of birds and bird strikes. That's our big thing here, and making sure that we can make it safer for the aviators here and the airplanes, not just military, but the commercial end of the other side of the airport as well. Over 10,000 bird strikes happen in the United States alone for military or for all aircraft, and cause more than hundreds of millions of dollars of damage every year. If you think about a bird, I recently did an investigation with a 2-pound red-tailed hawk that caused over $2.5 million to an airplane similar to ours, another military aircraft. So if you could think about a bird and the fact that it's feathers, meat, and hollow bones, and it can do that much damage, you can imagine something like this that has hard plastic or metal with a battery, what the damage it could cause to an airplane. This is obviously a much more inexpensive one, but there are significantly harder plastic, metal ones that can cause quite a bit more damage. It doesn't take a lot to damage an engine blade of an airplane. A single strike on the tip of a blade could send the entire engine out of balance. That engine being out of balance could cause a lot of damage through vibration and everything else. So we're really trying to get the awareness of people that, especially not just at Westover, but people that operate within a 5-mile vicinity of the airport for the FAA's rules, to make sure that you call base operations here prior to flying that drone if you're within 5 miles. The tower here can coordinate, make sure that we're aware of what's going on when we're up in the air. We have a pretty good vantage point, as you can see from the C5. We're a pretty big aircraft. We have a lot of window space that we can see out of. Regardless, it's hard for us to see a Cessna, a small single-engine airplane, when our radar controller, the tower, calls out traffic for us. It's hard for us to even visualize and get an eyesight on that, let alone a small drone. So because of that, we're trying to get the awareness out to the public of these are the rules that the FAA has come down, the Federal Aviation Administration. They've come down with these rules as of the 21st of December. to register your drones and to additionally to call if you're going to operate within a 5-mile ring of the airport. As far as we're just concerned about the safety of aircraft and aviators, again, military and commercial. If we saw a drone in the airplane, we would call Tower and let them know. Tower would probably alert security forces or whomever to come take that. We would, as far as the aircraft, we would obviously be vectored away, or we would turn away and try to avoid it and deconflict that way to try to make sure that we are out of the line of sight and possible danger zone of wherever it was operating, similar to a bird. If a bird's flying at the end of the runway, our tower cab here will let us know, hey, there's a bird circling at the end of the runway, and they'll either have somebody come out to try to scare it away, or we'll delay until the bird flies away so that we don't impact the bird. We have not seen any here. There have been other airports that have had them. I know that some of the more sophisticated drones actually they're including software so that when they fly into the vicinity of an airport, that it'll actually turn it off and drop it to the ground to obviously protect for safety. So you can imagine somewhere like O'Hare, the amount of flights that are coming in. You know, we're kind of a slower airport here, but a significantly busier airport. If you were flying, and especially with parallel runways, you're having airplanes constantly come in and out. So I don't know, here we have not seen anything, but I'm sure other airports have. People who obviously get these things, they need to use them responsibly. I think they're pretty neat myself. I think that there's something cool to be able to take something up and take a nice aerial shot of things. Real estate agents are using them to list houses now. They're a very useful tool for many different surveyors, contractors. People use them for multiple uses beyond recreational. So I don't really think that is, I'm not surprised in it. I think it's just, if you're going to get one and operate near an airport, you need to know how to responsibly use it. So we've already had people call in and say that they're going to operate to let us know that they want to use it and what can they do to use it. So I don't think we try very hard here at Westover to be respectful of our local community, and our local community works very well with us. So I wouldn't expect there to be many issues.
If you're operating within 5 miles of Westover, just please call 413-557-2951. And that's the number to call. And then one more thing, we don't operate military drones out of Westover, just in case that comes up. There are other bases in the Northeast, but none are assigned to Westover. What you see at Westover is we have 8 C5s, we've got 6 of them here behind us.
Westover, Massachusetts, July 1990. This would be an air show to remember. Planes, pilots, and people all came to celebrate flight. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Westover Air Force Base, and in honor of that occasion, the military came out in force. On this weekend, we would see the planes we'd only heard about, touch the jets we'd seen on movie screens, and we'd talk to the pilots who dedicated their lives so Americans might live free.
I'm one of the pilots that shot down the Libyan MiG that was off the coast of Libya back in August of 1981.
All branches of the military were represented at the event, from the B-25 Mitchell to the B-1B bomber. Our United States Air Force showed off the history and advances in American aviation. Over 500,000 people came to this air show. Yet even amidst the crowds, folks received a personal touch. For almost all the aircraft that flew, there was one on static display. Most were manned, so people could learn more about the planes from the pilots and crews who fly them.
This airplane is the gas station in the air.
The engine is the Pratt & Whitney F100-100 engine, and when it's in full augmentation or afterburner, it produces approximately 25,000 pounds of thrust per engine.
Landing is, they've called it a controlled crash, and that's just about what it is. This airplane comes aboard the carrier at about 140 knots, about 150 miles an hour, and you stop in about a second and a half or so.
At the end of the day, the Snowbirds, Canada's Air Force demonstration team, would ascend in flight for a heart-stopping aerobatic performance. The weather was absolutely perfect. Spectacular planes with engines to match roared and tumbled through the blue-skied air. Breathtaking performances filled the weekend with brave and daring and duty. But for these images, the event would be just a memory. Ladies and gentlemen, the Westover Air Force Base 50th Anniversary Air Show.
Hello, Westover. I'm Master Sergeant Andrew Biscoe from the Public Affairs Office, here to talk to you today about this display we have behind us. It's, of course, displayed here in Building 1850, Wing Headquarters, so you're welcome to come by and take a look at it. Strategic Air Command, which was here for 19 years, left in 1974, and when they left, they took most everything with them. But of what remained is available, a lot of what remained is right here behind me. Pictures of people and airplanes from the most historic era of this base's existence. When the base first opened in 1940, nobody knew that at that time it would evolve into one of the biggest Strategic Air Command bases in the entire United States. Most of these pictures and illustrations behind me show the activity of SAC during those years. One such example is a picture of an Armed Forces Day in 1959 that shows a KC-97 tanker on display during what we called then the open houses. Today they're called the Great New England Air Show. This KC-97 is in orange Dayglow paint. And the reason for that was back then there were so many airplanes flying around this base and this area and New England that the Air Force was concerned about mid-air collisions. So Dayglow paint was applied to the wings and the front of the airplane and the back of the airplane so that mid-air collisions could be avoided whenever possible. There were 40 of these KC-97s assigned here during the SAC years at Westover. Another example here is this great picture from one of the local newspapers of a couple of B-52 bombers. One is landing, and these were brand new airplanes back then, but the Air Force babied them right from the start. One's landing here with a drag chute coming out to preserve the brakes on the airplane. The other airplane's sitting on the east ramp, close to where the old nose docks used to be located before the C-5s got here many years later. One of the most striking pictures that's available here is a 1957 aerial shot that shows the sheer size of the base. It was 4,500 acres back then. It's 2,500 now. But 4,500 acres back then, which included an enormous flight line, which is now, of course, some of which is now the Westover Metropolitan Airport. Just in terms of airplanes that were assigned here, there were over 100 B-52s and KC-97s and KC-135s and fighter jets assigned here during those peak years of Westover's activity, which were from about 1955 until the early 1960s. After that time, the active duty units started to be withdrawn slowly but surely as the pressures of the Vietnam War budget put a lot of pressure on the Pentagon. Lastly, I'll mention that there's a picture down here, a Boeing aircraft publicity picture that was taken from what's today called the ISO dock. And the photographer got up on top of the ISO dock and took this great picture of these brand new B-52s. Brand new. It doesn't sound right when you say brand new B-52s because they're so old these days. But back then they were brand new and they were sitting here on the ramp here with two taking off behind it. Again, we invite anybody that's interested in the history of the base to come by here and check out our display that we have here in the Public Affairs Office, because this shows you where we all came from. And it's important to remember the warriors of the Strategic Air Command that were here from 55 until 74.
Breathe and